there goes my train finally. I was strapped here. I didn't want to walk past the engines while the conductor and engineer were in there. So now I can continue my 3-mile walk into town. That's okay. It's sprinkled a little bit, but that's about it. We'll pick up where I left off, getting off of the train south of Itasca. Just before a Y, where the train takes a left-hand turn to go to Pokegama. Anyway, I'd gotten off and was sort of trapped by the train because I didn't want to walk past the engines. And I didn't have an easy way to get through the woods to get over to the highway. So I just sat down and let some time slip by and got rained on a little bit and whatnot. But before I get into the rest of this, first of all, once again, thank you to all the channel members and subscribers, etc. Please subscribe if you haven't. And also, I have released this book that is different than my other one in that this one's available to actually be printed if you prefer a hard copy of it. So it's kind of cool. Anyway, there's links in the description, and if you want to help the channel out, grab a book. There may be somebody you want to give one to or something, but anyway. So I arrived, and I didn't end up walking 3 miles, fortunately. I stopped at a little bar and caught a local taxi on into Superior, and it was very inexpensive, so I appreciate it. I've forgotten the taxi driver's name, but anyway, thanks for the ride. It was great. So I went, and I was hoping I could get into the motel early, but I couldn't. And so they were kind enough to let me store my stuff there anyway, so I didn't have to carry it all around with me. And I set off to do some exploring. I had lunch at this little cafe right next to the tracks called the Choo Choo Bar and Grill, which is an old Pullman car, or part of it's an old Pullman car. Mainly what's left of it is the roof and a small section of the car where there's some windows. But anyway, it's still kind of cool to have that right next to the railroad yard. Then I went into Duluth, and whenever I go to Duluth, I like to check out what's going on in the ship canal, where the lift bridge is. A lot of times you can catch those 1,000-foot freighters coming in there, heading to one ore dock or another, or unloading coal or whatever they're carrying at the time. But it was very quiet. There just was not a lot going on. And so I goofed around a while until I could get in the motel, and then I headed back. But I did do some reconnaissance. Part of what you do anytime you're trying to catch out of somewhere that you've never been before, you have to kind of scope things out, figure out what you're going to do, how you might be able to make it work. And my main objective when I have gone to Duluth several times has always been I've wanted to ride out of there. And I have ridden the Canadian National back from Pokegama, but I wanted to go down to Minneapolis, sort of make a loop, if you will. And so that's what I set out to do, is to kind of check things out and do a little touristy stuff the next day and whatnot. But I was able to do my reconnaissance and get things figured out, but it rained the entire day the next day. So it kind of put a damper on what I wanted to accomplish. But in the end, I was able to make it out. It cleared up that night just enough that I could be somewhat comfortable. But I tell you what, it was one cold ride, 45 degrees. I'm thinking to myself, man, this is summer, come on. Yeah. Anyway, come along as we head for Minneapolis. So I shot this video of the Union Pacific Yard and decided that I could probably make it work as opposed to going over to the BNSF yard, which would take me to Northtown. which is a very big yard. So you never know where you might end up exactly when the train stops at Northtown. So I decided this might be a better route for me on a first-time basis anyway. So I scoped it out, checked it out. The interesting thing is that the Union Pacific accesses this yard, their yard there in Superior, via trackage rights. I don't believe they have any actual tracks of their own coming into this yard. So it's one of those deals where the mergers over the years have, in order to let those things happen, a lot of times the railroads have to agree to give trackage rights to competitors. And so Union Pacific has managed to get trackage rights into Superior. And then whatever mergers were taking place, I don't know whether it was, the Burlington Northern, Great Northern going on, or, one of those, or whether it was the Canadian National taking over the Sioux Line or the Milwaukee Road, or whatever the case was. I don't know the history in that area. But anyway, long story short, you don't ride Union Pacific tracks to get to Superior. You ride Canadian National or Burlington Northern. And I think maybe Canadian Pacific has trackage rights. I'm not sure that they actually have any tracks running in there either. I could be wrong about that. I'll have to look sometime on the map and figure it out. But anyway, I was able to figure out, I think, what I needed to do and make it work to get out of there.
Well, this part can be a little nerve-wracking. They're stringing the train together now. And, you just hope your string is scheduled for this train and not some other one you don't know about. So, fingers crossed, that string that's moving over there will back up and pick up the string next to me. And then they'll come back and pick up this string, which I think are going to be last. And judging by the direction the train's going, we're going to leave to the south. Can't leave this yard to the north. It's hard to tell because they both end up going over the track that UP has. We'll see.
I put on an extra shirt in addition to my hoodie. It's going to be a little chilly, and I'm afraid now. I think now I'm going to be riding dirty face when I wasn't anticipating that. Oh well. Nobody said this was going to be comfortable. It's okay if we're the last string of the train, because we won't go past a conductor operating a switch. Anyway, progress is being made. Oh, they hooked up to this string, so we will be going past the conductor. I will have to stay down full show. well, I'm pretty sure we're not going to be left behind anyway. Fingers crossed. So I'm nestled in amongst all the plumbing in the back end of this car. Somebody beat me to the front half of it. I've never had that happen before. But anyway, I'm not alone on this train, I guess. I was thinking about just taking the bus back to Minneapolis and Amtrak home because the weather was crappy, but Amtrak solved that problem for me. They're sold out, so no sense worrying about it. I'll just enjoy a ride on a line I've never ridden before, which has always been my intention, to go south out of Duluth. So here we go. Shouldn't be too long. I've had more comfortable rides, but I've also had worse, so I don't know. Once it gets dark, if we haven't left and I don't hear any activity, I'll wander up the train a bit and see what I can find. But for now, I'm content, since it's daylight, to just stay put, not take any chances.
George had cancer. He said it hurts like hell. Said he dreamed of being a hobo, I could come along as well. I was tired of pushing pens, he was pushing 68. So we went down to the railroad and we hopped aboard a freight. Well, we got out in Kansas on a westbound hot shot, and the sky went on forever while we smoked a little pot. Said his family would miss him and his wife would shed a tear. Just two rebel riders facing death without fear. We were hobo hopping,
leaving it all behind.
we were hobo hopping,
Taking the westbound line.
we were hobo hopping through the darkest hours of the night. When we woke up in the morning, George was trying to take a piss. He said, whichever way the wind blows, we will all end up like this. So we brewed a railroad coffee while we waited in the hole, and we tipped our hats to Hobo Stoby, may God rest his soul. We were hobo hopping,
Taking the westward bound.
we were hobo hopping,
Somewhere we can't be found.
we were hobo hopping through the darkest hours of the night. Somewhere near Green River, Lord, I felt him slip away, leaving me this emptiness inside. So I left his body by the track and caught out on the next train back to pushing pens or suicide. I was hobo hopping,
Leaving a friend behind.
I was hobo hopping,
Taking the eastbound line.
I was hobo hopping through the darkest hours of the night. We were hobo hopping, we were hobo hopping, we were hobo hopping through the darkest hours of the night.